Well, let's talk transfers now. Our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solhekol, is alongside me. We'll get to Bruno Fernandes in just a moment. We'll stay with Manchester United to an extent and Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, Jadon Sancho obviously has been on loan at Chelsea, but Chelsea are not going to be using their obligation to buy him outright. Now, that obligation is £25 million, and you would think an obligation means you have to pay the £25 million and keep him. But actually, in the loan contract that they signed, there is a clause that says Chelsea can pay £5 million to get out of that obligation. So they will be paying that £5 million to Manchester United to get out of the obligation to sign him permanently. Now, the reason he's going to go back to Manchester United is that Chelsea weren't able to agree personal terms with him. He's reported to be earning up to £300,000 a week. Manchester United's co-owner, Jim Ratcliffe, a couple of months ago said that United was still paying half his wages. So I don't think Chelsea were prepared to pay him anything like the kind of money he's on at United at the moment. Just one of the reasons why he's going back. Now, do I think he's going to stay at United for a long time? I'd be surprised if he was to play for Manchester United again, because he has a lot of interest from clubs, especially in Europe. So I think it's going to be a sort of short-term thing. When his loan contract ends with Chelsea at the end of June, he will revert to being a full-time Manchester United player again, but I think his representatives are working to try and find him a new club.
Do you think that some of those clubs in Europe that you just mentioned are going to be able to pay him the fee he's currently on then?
Well, I don't think they will. He is one of the highest earners at United. I think it'll be very difficult for him to get those kind of wages, say, at a club like Borussia Dortmund, who've been linked with re-signing him. But who knows, maybe he could come to some arrangement with Manchester United where United would pay up the remainder of his contract, and that would compensate for the fact that he may have to take a wage cut at his next club.
Let's move on to the captain then, Bruno Fernandes. Is that it then, definitely staying?
Well, look, I think it was pretty obvious that he was going to stay ever since Friday, when Ruben Amorim, after the game in Hong Kong, was asked lots of questions about this Saudi interest in Bruno Fernandes, and he made it clear that he'd spoken to Bruno Fernandes. He told him, Bruno, your future is at this club. You're far too young to be moving to Saudi Arabia. We are rebuilding Manchester United. You're the captain. We want you to stay. And he basically said that Bruno Fernandes had told him, I'm going to stay. I'm committed to Manchester United. And now we know for a fact that he has turned down that offer from Saudi Arabia, which was a very, very big offer. But we've always said Bruno Fernandes is not somebody who's motivated by money. He's very proud of the fact that he's captain of Manchester United, and he wants to carry on playing in the Premier League for as long as possible.
That was going to be my question then, as to whether this says more about the power of Manchester United and the power of the Premier League, or does it say that those players in world football who are still in and around their peak, the Saudi Pro League, despite the amount of money that's on offer, still isn't that attractive a proposition for the real elite players, which you'd say Bruno is one of?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the Saudis have changed strategy and are trying to make sure that the kind of players they sign are not ageing superstars. They want to buy the best. They want to buy younger players as well. But I think we have to be a little bit careful when we're talking about the numbers. I know we're talking about Al Hilal potentially offering up to £100 million for him. Yes, that is accurate. I could see that happening. When it comes to the wages, I'd always said, let's be a little bit careful. We were talking last week about the fact that he was offered £700,000 a week. When I speak to people in Saudi Arabia, people at the Ministry of Sport or the Saudi Pro League, they always say we are very bemused and surprised by the numbers that have been reported in the Western media.
Is it
about
adjusted for the lack of tax, I'm assuming, sometimes, maybe?
That could be as well. Maybe because if you stay in Saudi Arabia for a couple of years before returning to the UK, you don't have to pay any tax on your earnings. So I'm not sure they were offering him wages of £1 million a week. They were offering him a very, very good contract. But Bruno Fernandes, he's not interested in, hitting the jackpot at this stage of his career. He wants to carry on playing at the top level for as long as possible.